From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang in review. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday shared that his administration have already completed more than 50% of its Farm-to-Market Road Network program just 1.5 years since he assumed office. In a video message, the president said around 67,328.92 kilometers or 51% of the 6-year 131,410.66 kilometer project have been completed in 18 months. President Marcos Jr. assured the public that his administration will continue to work on the completion of the project before his term ends in 2028 and will continue to build better more. Let us listen to the message of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Kasalukuyan kaming nag-workshop para sa mga staff namin para maging maayos ang patakbo ng aking opisina. Habang kami nagtatrabaho, lumabas ang mga ibang resulta sa mga achievement report, performance report tungkol sa mga iba't ibang sektor na ating ginagawa. Unahin ko yung sa farm-to-market road. I am happy to share significant update sa ating Farm-to-Market Road Network program. Ang ating dapat maging target is 131,410.66 kilometers sa 6 na taon. Maaari ko na mai-report na 51% of that nabuo na natin. We have built 67,328.92 kilometers. Katumbas nito na para tayong pabalik-balik mula Apari hanggang Hulo ng 32 times. Kaya't mahaba-haba po ito. It is a testament to the magnitude of the accomplishment of the government. It is not an initiative only to do with agriculture. It is a connection between all the different communities, but of course, its main purpose is to connect the markets and the producers sa ating mga agricultural sectors lalo. Patuloy naman namin gagawin ito. Mukhang mabubuo naman natin yung ating 131,410 kilometers at nakapag 51% na tayo at patuloy naman natin gagawin ito. So, we will continue to build better more.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday was delighted over the Philippine National Police or PNP's report that some 10.4 billion pesos worth of narcotics have been confiscated in 2023 and close to 28,000 villages have been cleared of drugs. In a video message, the president said that they are also monitoring individuals addicted to drugs and assured them that rehabilitation centers are there to help them. The government has implemented the Anti-Drug Abuse Council or ADACs that works in the local level and is being executed in 50 provinces, 1,160 municipalities, and 30 cities nationwide. The government's success in the fight against illegal drugs is attributed to President Marcos Jr.'s new approach by focusing on rehabilitation, reintegration, and preventive education programs specifically for the youth. Let us listen to the message of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Isa pang bagay na nais kong i-report sa inyo ay tungkol nga sa yung problema natin sa drugs. Ma-i-report ng PNP na we have successfully confiscated an estimated 10.4 billion pesos worth of illegal drugs in 2023. Masasabi natin na 27,968 na barangay ay nadeklara na drug cleared. Magandang mga progreso ito sa grassroots level. Dahil ang mga barangay, pag nasabi natin ay clear dyan, madali nang i-monitor at maayos na ang patakbo doon. Siyempre, lagi rin natin tinitignan yung rehab, yung prevention na hindi na pumasok yung mga kababayan natin sa masasamang ugali tungkol sa drugs, at kung sino man ang nasubo na ay bibigyan natin ng tulong sa pamamagitan ng mga rehabilitation center. Nakatulong tayo at the local level at nakipag-ugnayan tayo sa 50 provinces, 1,160 municipalities and 30 cities na nag-i-implement ngayon ng Anti-Drug Abuse Council. Nakapaggawa tayo ng 74 inpatient treatment and rehabilitation facilities to provide a path to recovery for those who want to break free from their addiction.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday joined the Catholic faithful in celebrating the Feast of the Black Nazarene and urged Filipinos to discover their inner strength and new sense of hope and purpose. In his message to the faithful, the President said the celebration shows the love and sacrifice of Jesus Christ, who willingly offered himself to make us whole once again. President Marcos also urged the faithful to be reminded of the virtue of embracing one's suffering, for it is during those moments of hardship that one is allowed to undergo renewal and spiritual transformation. The Philippine Chief Executive also urged the faithful to deepen their connection with God and become instruments of peace and unity and compassion for the Filipinos and the country. In closing, President Marcos wished everyone a solemn and meaningful commemoration.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday shared that his administration have already filed charges against 177 police officers in the National Capital Region or NCR over illegal drugs since he assumed office 1.5 years ago. In a video message, the president said 151,818 court cases were pursued by the Department of Justice or DOJ since 2022, with 121,582 violators already in jail. President Marcos said that this only proves that the administration is making sure that the community, the young people, and the lives of Filipinos in general are getting better. Let us listen to the message of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Kabila naman yan, alam naman natin na kuminsan na dadala ang ating mga opisyal at siyempre hindi natin maaaring pabayaan yan. Kaya ang nangyari ay 177 police officers have been charged with drug-related offenses, including the planting of evidence, unlawful arrest, and excessive violence dito pa lang sa NCR. We are now pursuing 151,818 court cases by the DOJ in 2022 to 2023 with 121,582 na ikulong na. Itong mga violators tungkol dito sa mga drug trade. Para sa amin, hindi lang ito sa mga magagandang numero, kung hindi ay talagang magiging improvement. Pinapaganda talaga natin ang komunidad natin, pinapaganda talaga natin ang buhay ng ating mga kababayan at iniiwas natin ang mga kabataan natin dyan sa pagpasok sa lifestyle ng drug taking.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday said that he closely monitor and sustain the positive momentum of the Kalinisan sa Bagong Pilipinas, or in English, Cleanliness in the New Philippines nationwide cleanup program, following the Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG's pronouncement that the administration collected over 5.1 million kilograms of trash since the nationwide cleanup program began. According according to the Interior Secretary Benjamin Abalos Jr.'s National Status Report, about 5,143,775 kilograms of trash were collected by about 1,234,844 participating individuals and 245,393 local officials. Through Memorandum Circular or MC number 41, signed by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin on January 3, 2023, on behalf of the President, National Community Development Day, which was first observed on Saturday, January 6, thousands of village and youth councils took to social media to show how they implemented the President's cleanup program in their respective communities. In his video message, President Marcos Jr. said the orderliness and cleanliness drive will continue every month, and the administration will weigh the performance of each village council and will be honored and recognized for their outstanding performance. Let us listen to the message of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Mga kababayan, ako'y nagpapasalamat at natutuwa sa inyong malawakang pagtugon sa ating panawagan na lumahok sa makabuluhang pagdiriwang ng Community Development Day. Sa pangunguna ni Secretary Benhur Abalos at mga DILG officials sa buong bansa, kasama na rin ang ating mga bagong halal na barangay at SK officials. Sabay-sabay na nilinis ang mga kalsada, estero, labas ng mga paaralan at palengke sa bawat komunidad sa araw na yon. Ngunit ano ba ang bago rito? Ano ang bago na itinatag natin sa bagong Pilipinas? Ang kaayusan at kalinisan sa bawat barangay ay gagawin nating tuloy-tuloy. Buwan-buwan na susukatin ang performance ng barangay council at kikilalanin natin at pararangalan natin ang mga outstanding na performance. Higit sa lahat, ang kaayusan at kalinisan sa bawat barangay ay tutukan ng inyong Pangulo. Yan ang isang bago sa bagong Pilipinas. Mga kabarangay, saludo ako sa inyo.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Indonesian President Joko Widodo arrived in Manila on Tuesday evening for a 3-day official visit to the Philippines aimed to deepen and strengthen the bilateral ties between the Philippines and Indonesia. The plane carrying President Widodo arrived at the Maharlika Presidential Hangar at the Villamor Air Base in Pasay City, where he was warmly welcomed by Philippine government officials. The Indonesian president was welcomed by Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity Secretary Carlito Galvez, Philippine Ambassador to Indonesia, Ambassador Gina Hamoralin, Chief of Presidential Protocol and Presidential Assistant on Foreign Affairs, Undersecretary Rachel Quiñones, and Pasay City Mayor Imelda Calixto Rubiano. Also present were Ambassador of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Agus Widjojo, and Madam Rani Muerni Kahiani, along with Defense Attaché Colonel Bambang Wijonarko and Francisca Donna Carmelita. The Indonesian president is scheduled to meet, or was able to meet, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday at the Malacañang Palace to reaffirm their commitment to deepening and expanding Philippines-Indonesia ties. The Philippines and Indonesia are set to celebrate this coming November the 75th anniversary of their formal diplomatic relations. This will most likely be Widodo's last visit to the Philippines as President of the Republic of the Indonesia, for he is set to retire in October, as mandated by a constitutional 2-term limit.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and Indonesian President Joko Widodo on Wednesday witnessed the exchange of Memorandum of Understanding or MOU on energy cooperation between the Department of Energy or DOE and Indonesia's Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources in a ceremony at the President's Hall of Malacañang Palace in Manila. In a joint statement delivered after the MOU signing and his productive bilateral meeting with Widodo, the Philippine President welcomed the two nations' bid to strengthen their cooperation on the energy sector. Under the MOU, both the Philippines and Indonesia agree to manage the cooperation in their respective business sectors in connection to energy, particularly in times of critical supply constraints in energy commodities such as coal and liquefied natural gas or LNG. The chief executive added that he and the Indonesian president had also instructed their respective concerned agencies to expedite the signing of relevant MOUs that will help unlock the economic potential of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and Muslim Mindanao to spur growth in the region. President Marcos said now that the Philippines and Indonesia will be celebrating its 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations this October, communication with Widodo has become normal towards the deepening and strengthening of Philippines-Indonesia relations. During their bilateral meeting, both leaders acknowledged that complying with the United Nations Convention for the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, is crucial to maintain peace and stability in the oceans and the seas, including the SCS. Let us listen to the statement of the Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday said that Philippines-Indonesia relations beyond October would continue despite Indonesian President Joko Widodo's scheduled retirement. During the state luncheon hosted by the Philippine President for Widodo at the Malacañang Palace, the chief executive said both nations have fostered a true relationship built on 7.5 decades of trust, mutual understanding, and extensive engagement throughout the years. President Marcos acknowledged the good relationship between the two countries under the leadership of Widodo, and he would also continue to seek his help even beyond the Indonesian president's term. Widodo arrived in Manila on Tuesday for a 3-day official visit aimed at strengthening Indonesia's relations with the Philippines. Let us listen to the message of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
The Philippines and Indonesia are not only neighbors, but also brothers and sisters, sharing a long-standing history, a vibrant culture, and common aspirations for peace and prosperity for our people and in the future. We have fostered a mature relationship built on 7.5 decades of trust, mutual understanding, and extensive engagements throughout the years. I am pleased with our cordial and substantive discussions this morning, which are reflective of the successes we have achieved in the past. I assure you, sir, that the Philippines will remain committed to working closely and actively with Indonesia as we nurture our bonds of kinship and elevate our relations to new heights.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is hoping clemency will be given at the appropriate time to Mary Jane Veloso as he relays the progress on the case filed against her recruiters in the Philippines. During a meeting with Indonesian President Joko Widodo in Manila on Wednesday, the Philippine President reported that the legal interrogatories required from the Philippine Regional Trial Court on Veloso's case have already been sent to Jakarta for her to answer. In a statement, Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Undersecretary Maria Teresa Lazaro said this will be part of her testimony on the pending case that she filed against her illegal recruiters. Meanwhile, Undersecretary Lazaro said the Philippine government will continuously exhaust all efforts to assist Veloso and her families. Last December, Lazaro said the family of Veloso was able to visit and spend several days with her through the assistance of the DFA and the Philippine Embassy in Jakarta. Veloso has been on Indonesia's death row due to drug charges. She was arrested in 2010 after Indonesian authorities found 2.6 kilograms of heroin in her suitcase. She was given a last-minute reprieve in April 2015 when the Philippine government informed Indonesia that her recruiters had surrendered.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday tasked the Department of Education or DepEd to train the country's teachers in order to improve the country's ranking at the Program for International Students Assessment or PISA. In a press briefing, DepEd Undersecretary Michael Poa said the government needs to ensure that the country's teachers have the proper training programs and they have the proper expertise in order to fulfill their duties as educators. This was a statement of USEC Poa after a study showed that 75% of 15-year-old students have registered a below minimum level of proficiency in the subjects of reading, science, and math. Undersecretary Poa said the president believes that if the teachers accept the proper training, the government will see a 60% improvement. According to USEC Poa, DepEd will monitor the National Learning Camp Catch-up Friday, which will start on January 12th. Undersecretary Poa said President Marcos also wants to monitor bullying incidents, saying that before bullying, only happens in school, but today, because of social media, it even happens after the students leave school. Besides this, the chief executive also wants to monitor if the students are receiving the proper nutrients. POA said nutrition affects the students' performance in school. That is why DepEd is looking at different feeding programs of government, including the school-based feeding program.
Dateline Malacañang.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday confirmed he is scheduled to visit Berlin in Germany on 12th of March this year. This was a statement of the president during a courtesy call by German Foreign Minister Her Excellency Annalena Baerbock at the Malacañang Palace in Manila. According to President Marcos Jr., it's been a while since a Philippine president has visited Germany, and he believes that now is the right time. The chief executive believes that the visit to Berlin will strengthen relations between the two countries. Details of the president's trip is currently being ironed out. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Baerbock embarked on an official visit to the Philippines upon the invitation of Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo. Her visit to the Philippines is also part of her official travel to the Middle East and Southeast Asia. The Philippines and Germany established their diplomatic relations on October 8, 1954.
Dateline Malacañang.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday evening boasted that the country has recovered from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war and the tensions in the Middle East. In a speech at the Vindi Honor at Malacañang Palace, the president said to the diplomatic corps present in the event that the Philippines is back to business as the economy is getting better and the government is accelerating its spending of funds. The chief executive noted the slowing of inflation this past December, where the country registered a 3.9% inflation rate, as well as the decrease in the unemployment rate last November 2023. President Marcos Jr. added that he sees the Philippines as one of the fastest growing economies in Asia, based on the forecast given by the Asian Development Bank, or ADB, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN Plus 3, Macroeconomic Research Office, World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
It's a pleasure to see you all and to once again host the distinguished members of the Diplomatic Corps as we brace for yet what I'm sure will be another full year of bilateral engagements and meaningful partnerships. Today's gathering is auspicious as we welcome new members of the Diplomatic Corps to the Philippines. We have His Excellency, the Ambassador of Timor-Leste, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Vietnam, our ASEAN brothers who have recently presented their credentials to me here in the palace. On this occasion, we also recall our good friends who already ended their tour of duty in the Philippines last year. I must say that the things that we have achieved and accomplished in our official visits to your different countries over the years would not have been realized, of course, without the assistance of concerned members of the Diplomatic Corps in coordinating, making sure that these foreign trips push through and are able to create new opportunities for Filipinos and for your countries in the mid and in the long term. Equally important, our inbound missions and trips that you have arranged for us, or visiting dignitaries that rekindled our relations on many important key areas. I am proud to have closely worked with many of you on many initiatives and endeavors since I assumed the presidency in the middle of 2022. I hope that we will continue to serve as able agents of our respective governments and countries in furthering the breadth and depth of our bilateral ties, as well as in exploring collaboration in regional and multilateral fronts. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the new year beacons a fresh start for all of us in so many respects and at so many levels. For the Philippines, the new year, or January, is not only the start of our year, it is also the symbolic renewal of our social contract to our people and our commitment and obligation as a responsible member of the international community. I am proud to take on the challenging task entrusted to me by our people in relation to tackling concerns of poverty, food security, peace and order, health, jobs, livelihood. This we hope to address with the support of various partners and stakeholders. I continue to enjoin the Diplomatic Corps to work closely with us in identifying areas where we can pursue joint and collective endeavors and initiatives. It is with confidence that I announce that the Philippines has, I could say, gotten back on its feet from the reeling effect of the pandemic and the subsequent shocks that we suffered from the Ukraine war and now from the conflict in the Middle East. We have since turned the corner and are now back in business, eager to do more with your respective governments and business sectors. Our economy has grown by a good amount, and we still don't have the final numbers, but in the last quarter, the third quarter rather of last year, we grew by 6.1%. The government's catch-up spending and expenditures in the last quarter will help achieve the growth target of 6 to 7% for 2023. I say that with crossed fingers and knocking on wood. We have continued to manage overall inflation at 3.9% in December, from 88.3% in 2023, bringing the year-to-date overall inflation to 6%. Still a little high, but hopefully moving in the correct direction. Our labor force survey reveals that the unemployment rate in November of last year declined to 3.6%, lower than the unemployment rate of 4.2% in October of 2023 and November of 2022. Other underemployment likewise dropped from 11.7% in November to 11.7% in November from 14.4% in the same period last year. The year before, rather. The Philippines is touted to become one of the fastest growing economies among major Asian countries in 2023, as forecasted by multilateral organizations such as the ADB, the ASEAN Plus 3 Economic Research Office, the World Bank, and the IMF. Cognizant that this journey ahead is without impediment, our plans for the future are based on sound economic policies that take into account realistic assumptions in anticipation of continuing global shocks arising from geopolitical tensions and climate change, amongst other risk factors. While we continue to strive in promoting our bilateral ties, we cannot simply brush aside important global developments that affect all of us. After all, we belong to one single community of nations. Amidst geopolitical difficulties, it is our earnest hope that countries will find sincere motivation to work together and tap the power of the collective in finding ways to solve political conflict to achieve peace and prosperity for all. It goes without saying that our bilateral relations are not a one-way street. You may always count on the Philippines, whenever the situations call for it, to work with your countries on consequential global issues of mutual interest and mutual concern. The Philippines' independent foreign policy has allowed us flexibility to do that. As a constitutional mandate, it is incumbent upon us to keep the independence of our foreign policy as we shape it to be more responsive to existing and evolving geopolitical realities. Philippine foreign policy is not riveted to the strategic competition of powers in the geopolitical sphere, but we rather operate and thrive in a complex web of interactions with various international actors, your countries you represent here today included. Our foreign policy has always been to encourage peace and to foster cooperation. Our national interest can only be achieved by establishing partnerships with countries based on common understanding, cooperation, and mutual benefit. with much enthusiasm for the future. May I invite everyone to join me in a toast. To everyone's good health and long life, to lasting and deepening friendships between our countries and our peoples for the coming year and for many, many, many years to come. Cheers. Happy New Year.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Thursday announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has selected House Deputy Speaker Ralph Recto as the new Secretary of the Department of Finance, or DOF. In a statement, Presidential Communications Office PCO Secretary Cheloy Garifil said Recto will take his oath of office. Recto, who will replace Benjamin Jokno by law, will relinquish his post as Batangas 6th District Congressman and subsequently his post as one of the Deputy Speakers at the House of Representatives. Recto served at the Senate for 3 terms where he became Senate President pro tempore and Senate Minority Leader. The former senator also served as a Director General of the National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, from 2008 to 2009 under then President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Secretary Garifil said that besides Recto, Frederick Go will also take his oath before the President as Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs.
Dateline Malacañang.
For Dateline Malacañang in review, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Friday morning led the groundbreaking and awarding ceremonies of the National Housing Authorities or NHA new housing projects in Bacoor, Cavite Province. 360 families were awarded with units from Phase 1 of Ciudad Kaunlaran, comprising 6 of the 9 5-story buildings equivalent to 540 housing units. Ciudad Kaunlaran Phase 2, on the other hand, is composed of 7 5-story low-rise buildings, totaling 180 housing units. The resettlement project is located in the village of Molina 2, which was earlier identified as relocation sites for informal settler families, or ISFs, affected by the Supreme Court, or SC Mandamus, to clean up the Manila Bay area. Let us listen to the message of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Lubos po akong nagagalak na muling maparito sa lalawigan ng Cavite para sa isang na namang halagang proyektong pabahay ng ating pamahalaan. Ngayon lamang ay malugod ko pong binabati ang mga mahigit na 600 benepisyaryong kasama natin para sa sinayaan ang amin na siyam na gusali ng Phase 1 ng Ciudad Kaunlaran Housing Project. Ang Ciudad Kaunlaran Phase 1 ay binubuo ng siyam na low-rise na building, kagaya nitong nakikita natin natapos na may 5 palapag. Aabot sa 540 pamilya ang mabibiyayaan ng mga pabahay na ito. Ang proyektong ito ay bunga ng pagtutulungan ng NHA, ng local government, ang pamahalaan ng Bacoor, iba pang ahensya ng pamahalaan at pribadong sektor ay kasama rin natin. Ito ay upang makapaghatid ng ginhawa para sa mga Kabitenyong apektado ng writ of continuing mandamus ng Supreme Court sa paglilinis ng Manila Bay at paglilikas ng mga pamilyang nakatira sa baybayang ito. Bilang agarang tugon, pinabilis po natin ang kanilang relokasyon sa bagong pabahay na ligtas, di kalidad, komportable at may maayos na pamayanan. Sa katunayan po, tayo ay nagsagawa rin tayo kanina ng groundbreaking para naman doon sa susunod na itatayo na 2 pang gusaling itatayo ng Phase 2 sa Ciudad Kaunlaran. Dagdag ng 120 pamilya ang makikinabang dito. Hinihikayat ko po ang ating mga benepisyaryo na pagtibayin ang pakikipagtulungan sa ating pamahalaan upang mapanatili ang kaayusan at kasaganahan sa komunidad ng ating binubuo. Nitong 2023, umabot sa mahigit na 80,000 bahay
ang pabahay ang naitayo ng NHA sa buong bansa. Sa kasalukuyan, ang NHA ay patuloy na nagsisikap na makapaghandog ng pabahay sa mga mas maraming Pilipino pa na nangangailangan ng kanilang titirahan. Isama pa rin natin ang mahigit 700 milyong piso na ipamahagi sa pamamagitan ng Emergency Housing Assistance Program sa may 150,000 pamilya na naapektuhan ng kalamidad tulad ng sunog, ng baha, lindol at bagyo. Hangarin po ng inyong pamahalaan na panatilihing may sapat na pondo upang mapunan ang pangangailangang pabahay ng nakakarami. Tuloy-tuloy po ang NHA sa pagbuo at pagtutupad ng programang pabahay para sa pamilyang Pilipino. Sa tulong at pakikipag-ugnayan ng DHSUD sa pamumuno ni Secretary Jerry Acusar, ay ito'y tuloy-tuloy at hindi namin titigilan. Tunay nga po na ang ating pagdalo sa mahahalagang okasyon na tulad nito ay sumisimbolo ng aking pangako sa sambayanan na maiangat ang antas ng pamumuhay ng bawat Pilipino sa pamamagitan ng bagong bahay tungo sa bagong buhay. Itong siyudad kaunlaran ay puno ng bagong pag-asa. Hindi lamang para sa mga benepisyaryo, ngunit para sa lahat ng makakakita ng tagumpay ng proyektong ito. Tinatawagan ko po ang lahat ng mga benepisyaryo na gamitin ang biyayang ito upang mapaunlad ang inyong mga buhay at matiyak ang magandang kinabukasan para sa inyo at para sa mga pamilya ninyo. Sigurado po ako na ang siyudad kaunlaran at iba pang mga proyektong pabahay ng pamahalaan ay magiging daan natin tungo sa bagong Pilipinas na karapat-dapat para sa lahat ng ating mga mamamayan.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. That concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang in Review for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza. Good day, everyone.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.